the Pod Network Entertainment.
Who's ready for story time?
What's going on? This is Xavier Woods, aka Austin Creed.
Let me talk to him.
Hello, WWE Universe in the Philippines. This is Charlotte.
Hey everyone, this is Jeff Cobb.
I have to finish the story.
We are pretty deadly. Yes, boy. Yes, boy.
Run!
Bang! The sniper is shooting you down. This is TMDK's Robbie Eagles.
Hey, this is the Cosmic Cactus, Paul London.
Hello, my name is Ilya Dragunov, the Czar, the NXT champion, and you're listening to...
And you're listening to...
And you're listening. And you are listening.
And you're listening
to the Wrestling Podcast.
The Wrestling Podcast.
The Wrestling Podcast.
The Wrestling Podcast.
To the Wrestling Podcast. Yeah.
You are listening to the longest running weekly episodic Filipino wrestling podcast. This is the Wrestling Podcast. It's Ro and Emile holding it down on the picks of the week. Tuesday. You're listening to this on a Tuesday. And wala si Stan, he's still dealing with a personal family issue. Chino is off somewhere, we don't know. Rowan is also keeping busy with his studies, although marami siyang time mag-shitpost sa MWF group and other places. So it's just me and Emile. Emile, how are you on the start of a new week?
Yeah, it is a new week, and I thought the weekend would be uneventful, pero we had a lot of good wrestling. It's a good thing to say that we had an eventful weekend. There was a lot of good wrestling from all across the board. We had Fastlane, and then surprisingly, the weekend AEW shows were really good this week.
I wrote about it on Patreon, which you can easily see because it's free. We make the reviews free now because we can't really gatekeep my thoughts. But while we're talking about Patreon, let's get some housekeeping out of the way. Emile, tell the people what they can expect if they support us by signing up for our Patreon.
Okay, so you can expect benefits, of course, by signing up to our Patreon program. It's at patreon.com/wrestling podcast for as low as $5 or 260 to 270 pesos in our local currency. Like Ro already alluded to it, you'll get the review content of the weekly wrestling shows, Raw, SmackDown, NXT, Dynamite, Collision, and some local wrestling as well, courtesy of Rowan. And you'll get to join in on our Discord community where we just had some viewing parties over the weekend. We had the Fastlane, of course, and if you want to join in on the future watch parties there, so you could join in on our Patreon. And also, if you are a part of our Patreon, you get some friendly rates on the service fees na pinapatong namin with doon sa pasabais na, again, we're doing something new in the last couple of months. So the first batch is done, the second batch is processing. So those yung mga orders should be
they're already shipped. They are on the way to shipping. So, may movement doon sa lagayan.
So if you want to be a part of the next one, if you want to if you want to enjoy some friendly rates, you join in on our Patreon. And by subscribing to our Patreon, you're supporting everything that we do here on the podcast. So again, please subscribe to our Patreon at patreon.com/the Wrestling Podcast.
Tawag doon. We had a couple of watch parties. I've got some feedback from some of our patrons na hindi nila alam na may watch parties with that. But this is because, not everyone gets to look at the Discord all the time. I know some people are just, quietly supporting with their $5 every month. Pero di sila nakikipag-usap every day because, it happens. There are only so many Discord servers you can really, pay attention to. So that's on me. I'll have to do a better job of promoting that outside of the stream and outside of, I guess, Patreon itself. Discord itself. So, speaking of watch parties, we're likely going to have one for Crown Jewel on November 5th in Manila time. It's live from Saudi Arabia.
12 a.m. or something?
Yeah, for sure, 12 a.m. Yeah. So I don't know yet if we're going to do another live in-person watch party. So Hobby Stadium, who is, really good at opening late for us. We don't know that. it's either that or we do. I don't know if we can do a midnight one because the last time we did a midnight one, nobody stayed up. So bahala na. If the card is looking good, then we'll probably do something about that. But yun, for now it's Crown Jewel, and for sure maybe we'll do something big for Survivor Series War Games maybe. So stay tuned na kayo. Look at all our social media accounts, guys, please. Parang hindi kayo mahuli sa balita. All right. Let's get to our picks of the week, Monday or Tuesday rather. Now we're recording this on a Monday, and before we get to the actual picks, I think it's a best time to quickly react to things that happened over the weekend. First, we have some big rumors. Well, actually, they're non-rumors. There are kind of updates, but not really updates on CM Punk's potential courtship with WWE. Maraming ganap doon. A lot of people are excited about that. I mean, about the possibility of CM Punk returning to WWE, which he so beautifully trashed almost a decade ago. Dapat na yan. The 10-year anniversary is coming up. Although, he worked a little bit for Fox coverage of WWE. So in a way, he kind of came back and interacted with the company, but not in a full-time capacity. All right, so we got a bunch of rumors here. The one we'll believe the most is from Sean Ross Sapp on Fightful Select. A lot of people don't trust him, but he does good work. So basically, the rumor is that there is no update. Like as far as they know, wala pang talks na nangyayari. And for a lot of reasons, he's got heat with management kasi he did trash the company. He did walk out. He does have some heat with a bunch of people as well because syempre, he's not the most friendly guy to be around. He's not the most congenial guy to be with, to work with, and he's pretty much set in his own ways, as we saw from his last interactions to AEW. There is really nothing. But people say that they think it's going to be a done deal eventually. Because who's going to refuse money? Because wherever he goes, the rabid fandom, yung DDS to CM Punk will follow him. I swear to God, you people never cease to amaze me. But yun, the rumor is that there is an update. That's pretty much it. We only have the speculation of company insiders who think that it's going to happen eventually, sooner or later. So, Emile, you wanted to bring this up. So what do you got to say about this?
Yeah, because I brought this up so that we can let the people know that at this point, wala pang nangyari. Wala pang deal. Wala pang
You just want to get that
talks.
out of the way.
Yeah, because I've seen I've seen some of our local wrestling fans who in the last 2 days they're quite excited. I mean, I have no idea why. Kasi,
Because it's CM Punk. People really love CM Punk.
We just saw what he did in AEW. So what so isipin na rin na parang WWE magbabago na siya, mag-iba na siya. Like, and I'm sure it's I don't know. I'm not really optimistic about. Yes, it might. I will pop when it happens, but I'm not really optimistic that it will end in a good way. Pero ang importante lang at this point, wala pang so hold your horses. There hasn't been any confirmation, any talks. I don't think there were any talks as of now. Wala pa.
Yeah.
May interest lang from both sides, which that's different from them having some negotiations and some talking. So, yun lang. So, easy lang muna tayo at this point. Maybe in a week something will happen, pero at this point, let's just wait and see. Pero yun na nga, nagtataka lang ako, but may mga excited pa din to see him in a wrestling capacity after what just happened.
No, I mean, I'm not surprised anymore. Maraming na hindi naman na scam, pero maraming pa rin. It's the same way with Duterte, People, there is a certain charm to it when people. He literally was the voice of the voices, and people really identified with that. I'm not taking that away from them, pero I just wish that these people would hold him accountable as well. Yeah. Like, to me, okay, there's nothing wrong with bringing him back, pero I think whoever brings him in, not just back, needs to set conditions. Na if you want to work for a wrestling company, if that's how you want to make money still, you gotta be willing to go to therapy. You gotta be willing to not rehab because he's a straight edge, but
Yeah.
you have to be willing to work on your issues that have led to your termination from AEW. Diba? Parang, this has been a problem for years, not even just in WWE. Diba? I'm sure it was kind of a problem as well in ROH or whatever. So the industry has to acknowledge, by that I mean yung big decision makers in wrestling, they have to acknowledge that before this guy plays ball, he has to play ball with, getting himself right and being a person that, is, accountable and responsible for how he behaves backstage. Diba? There's nothing wrong with Punk as a character, as a wrestler. He's great. I will admit that he's great. I did, cheer for him. I did get excited for him, get hyped when he came back. But eventually, the true colors showed. He wasn't that great of a guy, and I don't think he's evil by any means. But I just think he doesn't self-regulate his feelings and emotions and his actions. So I just hope that people hold him to a standard where he has to fix himself too, not just bring money in. Kasi maraming factors and maraming trabaho involved. Like Ricky Starks lost a big time story because Punk couldn't get out of his own way. So a lot of people will get affected by this, and it sucks that a lot of his fans don't see it that way now. Just because he is a certain way, okay na siyang tao. Like, he's someone worth identifying with. And if you're listening to this and that's you, I have some bad news for you, pal. You got to get checked, and you got to work through some issues and reflect, man. Kasi this doesn't work. The whole idea of you wanting Punk to succeed and be the main face of a company, it's not going to work if he doesn't fix himself. Yeah,
that's true. That's definitely true. He has to work on himself first before he can try and work within a team again. Kasi that was basically the reason why things happen in AEW. He wasn't willing to to play ball with the rest of the team. Like, and yung attitude niya dun sa AEW at the late stages of his run there was, kung sino yung good sa kanya, that's the only people who are allowed to be in the same show as him, which is
that's fucked up.
That's messed up.
Yeah, I don't want to burst anyone's bubble, pero there are serious big boy things that need to be addressed here. And if he doesn't do that, and I'm sorry, but he's not a big boy. He's a child. He's a man-child.
Ma-resolve din yun before he could come to WWE.
Yep. Yeah. So that's our quick CM Punk rant. Wala pa talaga kasi. Wala pang balita.
Yeah.
I mean, this is literally just Sean Ross Sapp addressing the speculation, the whirlwind of speculation about CM Punk. So we'll talk about that more when we find out more. If something big happens, if there's a big development. Right. Before we head to the picks again, let's just quickly react to Fastlane, which happened yesterday morning, Sunday morning, Manila time, Saturday evening in the US. And I didn't really think much of the show. Like, it was just there. The action was great. Syempre, I can't talk shit about the wrestlers. They're really good. And the reason why you have only 5 matches on the card was because Triple H will curate yung mga dapat mag-wrestle in a particular show, because you don't want to have it go too long or have too many matches that run too short. And while it was good, I didn't feel like there was a lot of noteworthy things that happened. So the only thing I was really that was which I thought was worth tuning in for was Cody Rhodes and Jey Uso winning the tag team championship. What do you think, Emile?
Yeah, that's kind of true then, no? In a way, I watched it on the replay nung hapon, and I only saw the time, yung length of the show was only under 3 hours, which was really good. So refreshing kasi for me, a good like minor PLE or pay-per-view, 3 hours is really that's the perfect length for it.
Yep.
Yung pag di naman WrestleMania, hindi naman Survivor Series, okay na yun. And again, I agree with you, the wrestling was great, but there wasn't anything consequential that happened on the show except for the one that you just mentioned, which was the tag team title match. I wish we could have had a new world heavyweight champion, although I kind of called it when I said I think Seth was gonna retain, even though I've been wanting a Shinsuke Nakamura title win. I got so disappointed when he got up after he got missed and went through that table. Like at that point, okay, Seth is probably gonna super Cena his way into winning another title defense, and it did happen.
Yeah,
so,
siguro I'm gonna talk about this more as a stream.
yeah.
Kasi,
Pero
or I don't know,
ano,
maybe things will happen. Mababury
On
yung
baka may mangyari pa on Raw na
Sige,
might
let's talk
be
about
more
it now.
consequential.
Yeah, I don't like this. I don't like the result. People were ready for Nakamura to win. It's one of those things that they kind of booked themselves in a corner. It's a lot of the Roman Reigns booking, pero for this kasi there isn't a lot of good storytelling to back it up. Like nobody wanted Seth. I think a few people wanted Seth to win, and then Nakamura loses. Tapos the heel turn was kind of for nothing. Even though you showed you're a menace to society. If you don't win, then you don't win, right? You got to win the big one. Seth, well, it's just not compelling anymore. He's won the championship, but then wala masyadong ano. Like, yes, the idea of fighting with a broken back, it's compelling in theory, but how, I don't know. I don't think anyone fully buys into the whole injury angle, because yes, he's injured, pero if you were able to wrestle this whole time really well at a high level over the past period of time where you said you were injured, and then you were selling being injured, then nobody's buying the injury. Nobody's buying that you're not 100%, diba? So it's really not compelling for a lot of reasons. I'm sorry to say. So everyone involved in that feud lost, I think.
Because I think at this point, people are kind of getting tired of Seth as the World Heavyweight Champion. Like, even though this is his like 5th or 4th month already.
Yeah.
And wala pa siyang like contrapelo na someone as credible as him to beat him. It could have been Shinsuke, honestly. But it's just sad. It's just sad na it didn't go that way.
I don't watch a lot of anime, pero in anime, the villains have to win first.
Yeah.
Diba? Lagi silang nanalo. And like, I saw Frieza beat up Goku, diba? Really bad. Then, that's how Goku claws his way up back to power. I remember seeing that much nung bata pa ako. So, it's just a mess. Okay, let's get to the picks of the week.
No, saka ano,
sorry.
I just want to add one more point to it.
Go lang.
It's kind of sad that they did this to Shinsuke again, because they really did the same thing to Shinsuke 4 years ago. With they turned him heel, then we all thought he was going to beat AJ Styles for the title at the blow-off, and then parehas the last man standing then, hindi nangyari, and then it wasn't the same, or it wasn't higher up on the card after that. It was actually just kind of disappointing.
I actually have a comment on that. I think he doesn't care. I think.
Yeah. Okay. I
think matanda na siya eh. He's in his 40s already. So I think he's just happy living the life of a Japanese in America, diba? His family gets to have a nice life in America. He's living the American dream. So yeah, he's making the WWE money. So right. I think sitting pretty na siya dyan. I don't think he cares that much about how he's perceived, like which is fine, totally fine. I get that. Syempre, the fans want more for you, but sometimes what really matters is that you're happy. If you're paying him the big bucks to stay, I guess he'll do whatever you want him to do.
Yeah.
All right, let's get to the picks of the week. Let's start with the Fastlane pick kasi we're talking about Fastlane na rin. It's Stan's pick, Cody Rhodes versus Jey Uso versus the Judgment Day rather for the Unified Tag Team Championship. Okay, he didn't leave notes, but it's fine. We got things to talk about here. First, it was a good match. I think he brought that Bloodline Young Bucks flavor to it. It's also the right kind of overbook to do though, typical drama involving a bunch of guys from the other faction being outnumbered. They told a nice story as well with JD McDonough inadvertently hitting Damian Priest in the knee, which looked really ugly when he buckled with the Money in the Bank briefcase. So that's also why nobody cashed in on Seth Rollins at the end of the night. Some people were saying in my Geek Talk chat they were expecting Priest to come out, but they wrote that specifically to write him out.
Yeah.
A lot of people are also asking why Jay and Cody won when they're just a makeshift tag team. One, they wrote it pretty well. Nagka-aksidente yung Judgment Day. Two, they really are just supporting characters in the Judgment Day story. I think people got so used to Jay and Cody being the main characters in their own singles run, pero they fail to realize that this is a story about the Judgment Day breaking up, or Damian Priest leaving the Judgment Day at the very least. Because they lost because of JD, and then Finn was the guy who brought JD in. So naturally, Priest, that's going to renew yung bad feelings ni Priest about Finn. So that's what's really happening here. And if you're not, if you don't think about that, then you weren't really paying attention. I think they told that story pretty well, I think the focus on the whole rift between Finn and Priest was not inconsequential. So kung hindi mo na realize yun, talagang parang di ka yata nakikinig. It's funny because the story was really out there. It was plain to understand, and some people just missed it because they were so fixated on Jay and Cody succeeding as singles wrestlers. But they're detouring now. Jay is detouring from his eventual feud with Jimmy again. Cody is detouring from his story. So I don't know what the problem is here. I don't think nagkulang ang WWE here. What do you think of all this, Emile?
I think someone called it on our stream last Thursday na for the story to progress, Cody and Jay needed to win. And that's kind of true. Say, if you listen to our bonus episode that we released on the weekend, I said my feelings about the Judgment Day, and I felt like they've been stagnant. It's been doing the same thing over and over again the last 2 months. And finally we got some progression here. And It looks like we're headed towards finally the dissolution, or they're gonna kick someone out of the current iteration of the Judgment Day, which is much more interesting than what was going on in the last 2 months. So I'm glad that even though I predicted another Judgment Day lull win, I was kind of happy this went down. And I was thinking about this also while watching Fastlane. It's kind of ironic na the first PLE matches that the Usos had as single stars were tag team matches, and one of them even won the tag team titles. So that's kind of funny in hindsight, Pero again, congrats again to Cody and Jay. Probably they're gonna be transitional champions, since di naman talaga sila tag team, and again they are just supporting characters to this story. Maybe they're gonna drop the title next month or in a couple of months, but this is a feel good win naman for those rooting for Cody and Jay, and also it gives us progression on the Judgment Day's story.
It's also an excuse to have Jay and Cody appear on SmackDown as well. Even though literally Jay wanted to get away from his family, diba? So I think the problem really is that the tag titles are also kind of stagnant as a championship for both brands. I think people are also frustrated then the there are so many good tag teams in both divisions. They're not getting the shine because they're busy using the tag team championship as a prop for the big stars, which is not wrong, pero sayang din. Kasi you've got like what, kunyari, Kofi Kingston, the New Day, and the Viking Raiders on a feud nobody understands why it's happening anymore. You've got LWO versus Street Profits, doing their thing. I think
Imperium versus DIY.
Yeah, Imperium versus DIY. Ayun, it's really one of those things people do need to be rewarded then with a championship. And also a championship will make these stories advance,
This is why we have been saying split the tag team titles already.
Yun nga. I will agree with that assessment. The tag team championships need to be split. Kasi at this point, medyo joke time na siya. It's sad kasi, it's one of those things that the Usos just ended up winning as part of the bloodline. And because Roman Reigns also unified the world championships. Right, we got more picks here. But before we get to them, we will also take a quick break to hear from our fellow podcasts on the Pod Network. All right, we're back with picks of the week for the week of October 2 to October 8. Yeah, so next we have a couple of picks from, surprisingly, AEW Rampage. So, interesting things that we don't usually pick from Rampage. I do, but the others don't. And not only do we have one pick from Rampage, but we have two. And that goes to show you how interesting or compelling the show was. First, I'll talk about mine real quick kasi a segment lang siya. I'm going to pick the promo that Ortiz cut against Mike Santana. So this was really, really good. But it's one of those things that it's good because they have personal history.
It's real.
Tapos, if you had Ortiz cut a different promo, I don't think it's going to be this good. Like, no knock on Ortiz, pero it's one of those, if you have it, you have it in the story. So he pretty much said that Santana was doing a tough guy routine na acting siga, angas lang siya kasi he's hiding the fact that he's actually soft inside, essentially. Tapos Ortiz didn't really get with that, and then he ended with the fact that Karma was gonna get Karma got Santana's knee, and then Ortiz is gonna take the other knee, and that was so good, and it was just super intense. This is the kind of promo that sells a match. Like, we don't really get that much anymore. Alam mo yung mga old school territory era promos where like a Dusty Rhodes or a Ric Flair would be super intense, and then that's how they would sell a match, an upcoming match. We don't get that anymore in wrestling, I think. Sometimes you do in the ring, pero when you're doing a quick backstage spot, like you're doing, with the interviewer talking to you and holding up the mic to your face, I think people just use that backstage segment to just further the character or, do an acting bit or advance a story. But very few people actually use it to sell a match, to sell an upcoming match. So this was really good. And ang hope ko lang is that even though they don't like each other right now, I hope that they're being professional about this. Like, I hope Ortiz told Santana that, okay, this is what I'm going to say in my promo, and I hope that you don't get offended. Kasi it happened, the opposite happens more than you think. That people will say that, will say something that wasn't cleared, and then the other will get mad or get hurt. It happened in AEW with Punk and Hangman Page, diba?
Yeah.
So, even though it makes for a better, more compelling story, it's also quite unprofessional. And if you do that, then you're kind of saying to the rest of the locker room that you can't be trusted to, to handle business professionally, and you're just going into business for yourself. So I just hope that they're not burning each other's bridges here, even though they might not be fans of each other. But there aren't always reasons to watch Rampage. So, you can go catch this because it's unlike anything you've ever heard from Ortiz. What do you think, Emile?
Ortiz did Santana dirty like B Rabbit did Papa Doc or dirty in the 8 Mile. Di ba? He's not a tough guy, soft inside, ganun. So, parang ganun. Anyways, I like this promo kasi like I was watching this when I was working. Tapos napatayin ako, and Ortiz has this very calm demeanor. Pero yung binibitawan niyang words, sobrang bigat to against his former partner, former tag team mate there with Mike Santana. And may credibility kasi, for me, may credibility sinasabi niya because he spent time with Santana. He knows the guy. And if you're watching the promo, you parang mapapaniwala ka talaga sa sinasabi niya, which is that's the essential thing in a promo. Like if you believe what the wrestler is saying. And again, like you said, I'm glad these two are professionals na even though they have...
Hopefully.
di naman sila papayagan na magkaroon ng program.
No, you don't know that. With regard to what they said, or what Ortiz said about Santana, and what Santana said about Ortiz on Twitter. So we don't know that. We don't really know that.
Okay.
They could have been booked against each other, which is the easy thing to do, but I don't know if they're fully on board with what the other is doing.
Ooh. Kaya pala wala pa tayo nakikita masyadong like in-ring promos or in-ring interactions. All of it are just tweets or backstage promos, backstage vignettes. Baka inaayos pa nila yun. Like they're still kind of settling what they're gonna do so that malinaw sa lahat and there's no boundaries na matatapakan. So I'm just looking forward if both of them makasundo sila just to do a match or do in-ring promos. I hope dumating tayo sa point na doon because there's so much, even though I really don't want personal beefs to translate sa in-ring program, I'm kind of looking forward how are they gonna pull this off. And I hope they pull this off, honestly.
We don't know what's really going on behind the scenes. Like, I don't want to assume again that they aren't clearing this with each other, but from first-hand experience, because sometimes you don't talk about it and then you just keep firing off shots willy-nilly across the bow, right? All right, sige. Let's move on to your pick, Emile. The four-way match to determine the new number one, or the next number one contender for the Ring of Honor World Championship, which happened. The match happened on Rampage, but the title shot happened on Collision.
Yeah. So my pick of the week, is the four-way for the number one contendership. It's between Johnny TV or Johnny Mundo, John Morrison, for those who doesn't know. That's his name now in AEW. Penta, El Cero Miedo, Komander, and debuting Lince Dorado. I don't really watch Impact. I don't know, Impact Rampage that much. But whenever may mga luchadors on that show, I always make it a point to see the luchadors match because for some reason TK would let them cook on Rampage. Like I think they have more freedom on Rampage than they do on any other AEW show. And I'm glad to see Lince Dorado in AEW. And I really like how the commentary team alluded na may history sila ni Eddie Kingston, going all the way back to their Chikara days. As this match is also for the number one contendership. So may story yung debut niya at least, even though he didn't win. And the more I see Komander, the more I really become a fan of him. Like he's just so damn
Komander
good.
Is so good.
Yeah, he's so good. And I think TK also sees that kasi mas nakikita ko na si Komander on TV very regularly instead of before na pasulpot-sulpot lang siya. Ngayon he's getting booked in major matches on TV, even though sa Rampage lang. And I've seen him on Dynamite a couple of times already, and also big matches. And I gotta say, if you haven't seen the match, please do, because there was a spot there na sobrang napatayo ako. It was that double Rana spot where I think it was Lince. Para sa top rope, he did the Hurricane Rana on Komander, and then I think it was Johnny do sa nag-aabang siya. Then Komander also did a hurricane run on Johnny TV. I haven't seen that spot in anywhere in pro wrestling ever. So napatayo ako doon when they did that. So this is my pick of the week, and I just love it when good lucha things happen. So this is my pick of the week.
Yeah, Tony Khan is a big Lucha Libre fan. So it's really like a boy opening presents on Christmas Day when he books actual luchadors from Mexico on the show. And syempre, you got Johnny Mundo, who has experience working with luchadors. Then there's something fun about Lucha Libre na I can just turn my brain off and enjoy it. Because with American and Western wrestlers who try to do the spot heavy stuff, parang mas mahirap sa paniwalaan kesa sa luchadors who just throw the rules, what people think about Western wrestling out the window, because it's a whole different culture, it's a whole different art form. And if you look at Lucha Libre with the lens of a traditional Western wrestling fan, then you're doing it wrong, because it's not the same thing. Paul London said himself to us about it's a whole different monster, and you have to accept it as a different monster. Kaya watching matches like this, where it's not always a focus on spot, but the real acrobatics behind fun high spots, it's really a treat to watch. And I really hope that people don't put it down, because it's Lucha Libre. It's different, and it's obviously not the kind of old school territory era wrestling that you like to harp on so much. People talk so much about selling, they don't really understand selling. Anything else you got to say about this match?
I just wish they would. I don't know. Maybe recently they would just make Rampage like the Luchadors show.
That's a nice
kasi napansin ko yung mga times na nanonood talaga ako ng Rampage, it's just mostly luchadors, and just make that show, let them cook there. Sobrang fun, like an hour of television, you just turn your brain off and watch them do their thing. It's really
not
fun.
Lucha Libre every week, pero I get what you're saying.
Yeah, but yung cruiserweight divisions in WCW, it's so much fun.
It depends, kasi sometimes your entire wrestling fan base or your Western wrestling fan base don't take too kindly to too much lucha, but it's just them being used to a certain kind of wrestling, basically. Right. Let's move on to the final pick. It's from Chino. He picks rather Samantha Irvin's interview on Chris Van Vliet's show, Insight. So Chino really loves it because he thinks Samantha Irvin is one of the best wrestling ring announcers today, which is actually pretty. I agree with this because I love listening to Samantha Irvin do her thing. Like, I like that it's different. Like, when you hear, say, a Justin Roberts do his thing, like all other guys, the ring announcers, they kind of sound the same. Like, nobody is like a Tony Chimmel or Howard Finkel nowadays. Because they were different, and then now everyone kind of sounds the same. It's not their fault, but they're kind of homogenous that way. Tapos, the women, a lot of them also kind of sound like Lillian Garcia, which is not wrong again, pero Samantha Irvin kasi is so unique that she puts a different spin that tickles my brain whenever I hear Ludwig Kaiser or Chelsea Green,
Giovanni Vinci.
Yeah, that's another. It's so good. Like, I parang na break yung glass for me now. Okay, you can ring announce like this and it sounds good. It doesn't sound corny because it's unique, diba? Nobody else is gonna sound like a Michael Buffer or a Bruce Buffer, right? Yeah. So you might as well do your own thing. So the interview covers her background, her entire life story, and turns out that she was a musician, a singer. She was a flautist, which is what you call people who play the flute. She appeared on I Can See Your Voice US, and then si Mark Henry pala nakadiscover sa kanya, and Mark Henry has discovered a lot of people like Jade Cargill, I think. Yeah. She joined WWE, I think, through the Performance Center. So may ganung factor, which is totally fine. So it's a whole hour, but it's a podcast, so you can throw it on in the background. And I already said what I felt about Samantha Irvin. So if you are a fan of Samantha Irvin as well, this is a must listen because it's always great to listen to people's stories. But like I didn't know na may anak na pala siya, and that Ricochet already proposed, and a lot of those things. So pretty good listen. And if you have like 1 hour to spare,
same thoughts here. He said one of the best. For me, Samantha Irvin is the best ring announcer today. She's the best. Justin Roberts is a close second. Pero like Samantha Irvin is the best ring. And ang nagustuhan ko kasi is binibigyan niya ng personality yung pag-announce niya. Like, it's not, kasi minsan when they announce wrestlers to the ring, it's just like background noise. Pasok sa isa, labas sa isa. Pero when she does it, you'll remember it. You'll remember how she would say Ludwig Kaiser, Giovanni Vinci, Gunther's name, and when she was still on SmackDown, like inaabangan ko yung pag-announce sa kay Roman Reigns kasi sobrang solid. And that's what you want in a ring announcer. You want a ring announcer to have as much personality as the show. Hindi lang yung background character lang. And she is really doing a good job as of this moment. And I think nakatulong din yung she was a singer.
Yeah.
That ganun yung boses niya. Like it really helps. Kasi yung iba, they just do ring announcing because yun yung inassign sa kanila. Like most ring announcers were tasked to be ring announcers because that's, I think, the only job for them to do. Yung iba, diba? So, but yun talaga, she was a singer first and then naging ring announcer siya. So sobrang nakatulong yun. And again, this was a great 1 hour interview. Di pa ako tapos. I was listening to this earlier, nasa kalahati pa lang ako. So I will finish this as I'm working here for tonight. So please do give this a listen. I mean, Chris Van Vliet is also one of the best interviewers in wrestling today.
Yeah. One day when I grow up, I want to be like Chris Van Vliet. Yeah. All right. That's it for our picks of the week for the first week of October. And you can find all of that online. We showed you where to find them. And it's not hard to miss, diba? WWE Fastlane, you know where to find it. I'm sure you already have Disney Plus, AEW, Fight TV, or your favorite place in the high seas. All right. Done. Stay tuned because we will be back this Thursday with a live stream. It may just be myself and Emile again. We'll get back to you on that, and we'll talk about this week in wrestling, some big stuff on Raw. Maybe we'll get into our feelings about Fastlane and a whole bunch of other things as well, depende if there's any big news. Yep. So yeah, same time, 7 p.m. on a Thursday, on Facebook, the Wrestling Podcast, and on YouTube, Wrestling Podcast. Walang da. Follow na rin and subscribe so you can get updates on whenever we go live para mapanood nyo agad. Right, that's it for Picks of the Week for Emile and the rest of our co-hosts who aren't here with us. You can follow them at _Stan C, at Monday Night Rowan, that's NITE, at Chino Supersize. Emile here is at EML_Meister. I am at Roazwar. You can follow the podcast on Twitter, TikTok, and Threads at Wrestling2XPod. Wrestling2XPod for Twitter and Instagram. Threads and Instagram. I'm confused now. Twitter and TikTok at Wrestling2XPod. Instagram and Threads at Wrestling Podcast. Yun, tama na yun. And thank you as well to our best boys and girls from the Pod Network, Babyface producer Jasper, for editing this and creating our brand spanking new OBB that sounds really, really good. And the staff, the management team, for making sure that we are well-oiled and, happily running. Right? This has been the Wrestling Podcast. Please stay safe, stay dry, maulan ngayon. Stay warm. Don't be a dick. Be nice. Stay safe. Again, Wrestling Podcast out. Peace.
The opinions of podcast creators, hosts, and guests are not necessarily reflective of the official stance of the Pod Network Entertainment, its hosts, or other network programs. The content created by the people behind the podcast is personal and not meant to harm any religion, ethnicity, group, organization,